Welcome to the beroNet guide on how to build a complete VoIP system using the beroNet Telephony Appliance 2.0. My name is Jeff Stolniker, Marketing Director at beroNet, and I will be sharing this presentation with you today. beroNet is a technology manufacturer working in VoIP since 2002. Our new telephony appliance has won multiple awards, citing innovation in telecommunication. All of our technology is made in Germany, so much so that it is assembled and quality tested in our logistics department here in Berlin. During this presentation, we will cover the benefits and limitations of the beroNet Telephony Appliance 2.0, installing and configuring a firewall in the beroNet hypervisor, how to install and configure the mobydick IP PBX system, and how to use an integrated beroNet gateway to connect the IP PBX with both FXS extensions and an ISDN connection. The beroNet Telephony Appliance 2.0 was designed to function as a central communication hub. This means it has the ability to run the majority of your communication systems through the use of virtualization. On the device, you can install an IP PBX, a software-based modem or firewall, a CRM and ticket management system, or any other software-based technology. Essentially, the appliance can run all the communication at your customer's location. This is made possible by using the beroNet hypervisor, which enables all of these elements to be installed in their individual virtual machines, allowing them to operate independently. Using the beroNet hypervisor, you have the ability to easily back up and restore virtual machines, enabling you to feel secure knowing that you can restore the entire machine versus having to reinstall a complete system and then restore a backup of that software application. You can also order the Appliance 2.0 with an integrated beroNet gateway, allowing you the ability to connect your IP PBX system with PRI, BRI, FXO, FXS, GSM, or any combination of these. This flexibility has much to do with the modularity and massive compatibility abilities of our beroNet PCIe cards. I won't be covering these in detail during this presentation. However, you can learn more about these on our website at www.beronet.com. As promised, some limitations. Using the beroNet Telephony Appliance to run all of your systems would in fact provide you with a single point of failure. If the appliance loses power, your entire system will go offline. This is also the case in many virtualized server infrastructures, and there are fail-safe systems built in. To combat this potential risk, we added beroNet Cloud integration, which allows you to monitor and manage the appliance and the individual virtual machines on that appliance wherever you are in the world. That said, if a device goes offline, you can receive a notification. If it is possible to do everything I'm going to show you today during this presentation using the beroNet Cloud. So, during our presentation today, we will be using a beroNet Telephony device 2.0 with an integrated gateway. The integrated gateway currently has 4 FXS and 4 BRI installed. With that said, we are going to then work on simulating our environment as a local network. To do this, I have installed a monowall firewall that will connect into our internal network as a WAN connection, creating a mini internal network to run our mobydick infrastructure on for our VoIP system. Here we have a BRI ISDN connection, as well as an FXS analog telephone connected to this. With the mobydick, we're going to be using the mobydick's DHCP server to run our LAN connection here with our network infrastructure. And with that, we do have this computer that I'm currently using attached to it, as well as the a SIP phone. With that said, any questions at this point, be happy to answer them. If you have questions that you don't want to mention during the webinar, go ahead and send us an email to sales@beronet.com, and one of our technicians will get to you right away. All right. After you receive your telephony appliance in the mail, you'll want to plug that into power, plug it into your local network using the left port, that's the LAN port, and then turn it on. You should hear a beep when that device turns on. After that, go to your File Explorer. Under Network and Other Devices, you'll see the beroNet Telephony Appliance. If it's not there, don't panic. You may not have your DHCP server configured, or it just may not be popping up in your DHCP server. If that's the case, just go to your Internet Explorer, go to the beroNet website, www.beronet.com, and at the top here, click beroNet Downloads. Once you click that, you'll be guided to our wiki page. So there's a variety of downloads, but the one you want here is called BF Detect. The BF Detect tool is available for both Linux and Windows. Because I'm using Windows here, I'm going to go ahead and download that Windows version. With that downloaded, You'll want to then open that zip file and then drag those files to an uncompressed location. So I've already dragged these to the desktop here, so I'll go ahead and open my BF Detect tool. With this open, it's going to then find and locate and give me all the information for all the beroNet devices connected to my local network. Here you can see that I have a beroNet appliance and a beroNet gateway. First thing I'm going to want to do is make sure that I have DHCP mode turned off and set a static IP address. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the DHCP mode. And then I am going to change my IP address because I already decided what I want that to be today. And my net mask and default gateway are already set. I'm going to go ahead and push save. And it's going to save all those configurations I just made and then quit. Now I want to do that for the gateway. I'm going to then select the gateway. The appliance is now restarting, which is why it's not in that list. I'm going to switch off DHCP mode. I'm going to change my IP address to what I currently want that to be. And then I'm going to save and quit. Now, with everything being configured and setting up, I can now go into the beroNet hypervisor. When you first log into the hypervisor, your default credentials are going to be admin and then beroNet. So admin for the username and beroNet for the password. The first thing you're going to want to do then is go to your settings and change your password. This just helps keep your system secure, which is important. And you can even write a complicated username to even further secure that instead of the generic admin. Because it's a demo, I'm not actually going to do that this time. Okay, so now that we have that done, you can see here that I already have a couple items installed and running here. I have a router running just to keep my local installation separate from my internal network here. Then I have a beroNet cloud on site. Now to install that router in the first place, you're going to want to go to virtual machines and to our market here. And in the market, you can see that we have the monowall firewall, which is what I've installed there. Then you go ahead and download that, and it's going to download an ISO file for you. And then you can take that ISO and go under Manage VMs and create a new VM. So I'm going to go ahead and do that here just to show you how that works. I'm going to go name that monowall. 1 CPU is more than enough for that. Disk space, 10 gigs is likely enough. And then just select your ISO file here, and then select the boot device so it boots from the ISO. Now, because this is going to be our router here, you're definitely going to want to start this on boot. So if for some reason, maybe the office loses power and the device restarts, you want this virtual machine on that device also to restart. So I'm going to go ahead and select Start on Boot. Under Network, you can then give it access to control both the LAN and the WAN ports. The model here is perfectly okay the way it is. And then under Other, I'm going to want to select a VNC display that's currently not being used. So the number 2 is certainly appropriate for that. And then for the VNC, I certainly recommend putting in a password to further secure your system. For Windows tools, that is if you're using a Windows system, it's just a few tools, drivers, debugging tools that you can then install via a drive that's then attached to that system. When you do that, we're not using Windows right here, so we don't need that option. I'm going to go ahead and create that machine. And now you can see here that I have the monowall right there. With that, if I go under Dashboard, I can then start this machine. And using the VNC link, I can type in my password and connect and see what's happening with that. Essentially, at this point, installing the monowall is simply following the prompts provided in the software. So they're relatively easy. We won't need to do that. But after you follow those prompts, what you will see is something like this. Where you have your configuration here. Now, to set a configuration and determine which port functions as which connection type, you can then modify your interface here just by typing 1, just like the BF Detect tool functions, and then set up your local LAN network. Now, with mobydick, it functions slightly different than some of the other IP PBX providers in that it also includes the possibility to have a DHCP server. So with that, I don't need to set much more up here. I'll go ahead and log into the monowall GUI and show you here that I have my LAN connection here, my GUI set for the 10.0.0.1. I have WAN configured with my internal network here, and also because I'm using it within a network, I did not block private networks. And then here under DHCP server, you can see that I have that turned off. I have it turned off because I'm building this network with the idea that mobydick will actually be functioning as my DHCP server. So I'm under DHCP relay. If I enable this and then give it the destination that of what I plan the mobydick to be at and save that, everything's going to be perfectly great there. So with the monowall firewall configured and ready to go, I'm going to go ahead and install the mobydick system. So back into virtual machines, I'm going to delete this extra machine here that I don't need. And now with that gone, I'm going to install mobydick. So just like the other, just go into that market and download their ISO file. It's right here and ready for you. And with that download, back into Manage Virtual Machines and create your virtual machine. I'm going to call this mobydick. I'm going to give it 3 CPUs. The way the CPUs function is it's what it's able to access, which means that if I gave every machine here 3 CPUs, it would be able to access those 3 CPUs and be able to use them to the best ability. If I limit it to 1 CPU, then it can only access 1 CPU. So if I have this at 3 CPUs and these 2 other machines running, it is a 4 CPU device. It won't crash the device, it'll just use the resources available to it. So under memory, I can determine how much memory I want to give this machine and how much disk space. And then ISO file, select that downloaded mobydick ISO file. Under boot device, just go into and boot from that ISO file. Because it is the IP PBX, I do want it to start on boot. And then under network, the LAN connection is plenty for this device. And other, the 5902 is available again. Set a password and then create your machine. With that, simply go back to dashboard and start your virtual machine. Then we can see here that the mobydick system is now launching from that ISO file. Okay, it just takes it a second to get going, and then select your language. Now this is going to be the default language for your entire system, so you're going to want to select whatever you want there. Take a look at their terms quickly. You probably want to go through these at least once when you install a system and accept those. And then now it's going to look at all the different devices it has access to and then ask me which hard drive I want to use, and then give me a great warning telling me that I'm going to destroy everything on the hard drive if I continue. I'm perfectly okay with that, so I'm going to go ahead and continue. Now it's going to go through some basic formatting and setting everything up and copying over to the hard drive there. I'm going to go ahead and go back into the appliance while that's setting up, and I'm going to show you how to configure this with the beroNet Cloud. I've already done that, and as you can see here, actually for this test demonstration, I have a local on-site cloud installation. You do not need that. If you become a beroNet partner, you can receive free access to our cloud services here, hosted in Germany. However, even so, you can also purchase an on-site license. With that, to set up the cloud, simply go into your cloud settings, and you can see here that you can enable a cloud server. So I'm going to actually change that to where my current cloud server is located and enable it. And then do it again. There we go. And then just type in the username and password for that and click register, and that will register this device to that cloud service. And then I'll go into more details on what the cloud looks like in just a minute. Now we have here under time zone, select your current time zone. I'm currently in Berlin, so that works for me. And then create the password admin section of this system, confirm that password, and then select your network device. With that, I do want to configure a static IP, and VoIP static is always the safest way to go. And I have determined that I want to use this IP address for that. In the gateway, I'm using just the IP address of my monowall firewall. Now it's going to restart the network and install everything really nicely for us. So when you're working with the system, you can go through the entire installation process like this each time, or you can use another feature in the beroNet hypervisor, and that is the backup and restore feature, which is my personal favorite, especially during demos. What you can do here is connect a USB disk, and on that you can save different virtual machines. As you can see here, I have a mobydick machine currently saved there, and I can go ahead and restore that machine. So that will save me the time it takes to then install the entire mobydick system. So I'm going to go ahead and restore that, and the system will work on that. While it's working on that, let's go ahead and look in more detail at what that cloud looks like. So here I have the local beroNet cloud installation. You can see that I have a couple devices that are currently not online. If you go into your device list, this is the appliance. It was online until recently. And you're going to request the GUI when it's online, and that will give you access to the hypervisor GUI. Now with access to that, you can also access each individual virtual machine, which means you'll receive a port number here, and you can use a VNC client to then connect with that virtual machine, meaning that if I was in the Bahamas on the beach and somebody needed a new extension in their IP PBX, I can then use my mobile device to then log in and create that extension. For security, it is a secure system, so how that works is every minute or so it sends a ping via HTTPS to the cloud, telling the cloud that the device is online. What the cloud can then do is have scheduled tasks available for it. So if I go into the gateway, you can see that there are device tasks, and I can schedule a variety of tasks, including backups and restores, also installing new firmware. All that's possible through the cloud. So I can schedule a task, and when there's a task scheduled, the gateway will then open an SSH tunnel back to the cloud, allowing you to then work with the gateway or the appliance. So that's how the cloud functionality works and how it maintains security. Okay, it looks like our system's all ready to go here. We have an extra mobydick. I'm going to go ahead and power off this extra system here that was installing. And I'm going to go and delete that system. So under Manage VMs, I'm going to delete it. Okay, you can see now that I have 6 gigs of memory reserved for that. I'm going to go ahead and edit that and reduce that to 5 gigs because it fits better with the specific appliance that I'm working with. And then I'm going to start that system. The VNC client, it's going to go ahead and start the mobydick system there. So again, for the backup and restores under virtual machines and backup with the USB stick, just log in or open that up. You'll want to create the formatting for that, and under backup you can back up any current machine you have. You can also back up your ISOs. So if you're working with large ISOs and you don't want to download them every time from the market, then you can do that right there. All right. So now that's what it looks like after the appliance starts up. Then you can just go into your web browser and log in via the GUI. Some cool information you have here at the beginning. You can do a secure login if you want to, and just by clicking that link. Under services, you can download the softphone clients, so we'll be doing that a little bit later, and have that on your systems. So this is the login credentials you used to create machine there. And here when you log in, you can see the current system status of the device and also the change log of the specific device. You can see here that it's had some history of being busier than other times. The amount of RAM it's currently using and what's attributed to it, and also the hard disk space. So the first thing I want to do here is I want to have all my cool devices here to get some IP addresses. So I'm going to go ahead under Appliance and Services and get my DHCP server started. So under DHCP server, just select what you want. Now, if you already have a DHCP server on your system, you can make it so that this only manages the phones in your system. So what that does is then recognizes the MAC address and gives those devices that are IP phones an IP address via the DHCP. Now, because I don't currently have a DHCP server active in my system here, I'm going to go ahead and click yes and let it do everything. And then I'm going to set up my range here. And gateway. Then I'm just not going to do anything with those two. For your system, you'll probably have to do something with that, but for the demo, this will work. And then click Save. Okay. Now, because I want my devices here to be accessible to us later on, for example, my SIP phone, I'm going to go ahead and apply those now. And with this, I can either apply each item individually and execute each item, or I can just click the apply button that was there and apply the entire change there. Beneficial, as then you can then work with small things and have the other things apply later on. Also see what's actually happening versus just having everything happen at the same time. Okay, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and add a gateway. With the mobydick system, they actually manage the entire beroNet gateway process in their system. So if I go here, you'll be able to see here that there is an odd gateway that did not receive a good, that was online before it received a DHCP request IP address, and so it has a weird address there. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that. So the admin is the default credentials for the beroNet gateway. I do recommend changing that. You can change that, not here. You'll have to change that somewhere else. So it is possible to then log into the gateway and do it there. I'm going to change the IP address for this gateway here. And then I'm going to create next. All right, and then save. And here you can see that it told me exactly what was in this specific device. Now, before I leave the screen, I'm going to want to edit this and then set up my ports for that device. So under assignment, I can now set up my grouping of my ports. I want to be able to have calls going over BRI for external calls. And I also have a guy named Steve here that really wants to have his analog phone and hold on to that. So we're going to make that possible for Steve. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to go ahead and add here a BRI trunk line. And with that, I need to then assign specific ports to it. I'm going to go ahead and give it everything. So it's just going to look for the available channel to be able to use there. Click OK, and that's ready for me. Now I also want to create Steve's little phone for him. So I need to add again, analog phone via SIP. And I'm going to rename this called Steve's phone. And then I'm going to give him a port there. So we've got Steve's phone ready to go, and we've got the trunk here set. I'm going to go ahead and push save. And we have that all configured and ready to go. I'm going to apply these settings just because there's some stuff up there. And I like pushing that button. Theoretically, you could wait to push that button until a little bit later down the road. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I'm going to then go into trunks. And I need to add the trunk there. So I'm going to add my beroNet gateway trunk. I'm going to give it a name. So I'm just going to call it beroNet and enter some of this information here. It'll be different depending on your location, of course. So international code, national code. I'm in Germany, in Berlin. There we go, and then just set that up with the information I have here. Okay, and then I need to select my device here, so connected to this gateway. Now what you can see here is what it did is if you look under inbound calls, it set up the rules for the inbound calls, and you can make this more specific if you want to. So if you're familiar with the expressions, and they also have some great documentation, you can go ahead and do that, or you can create additional rules. Right now we have wildcard rules, so everything that goes through this channel is being, well, set up to go through that channel. So I'm going to go ahead and save it. And why not apply? And what that's going to do is then provision my gateway for me. I think I might have already done that, but it does automatically provision the gateway. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create my users now. I'm going to create 3 different users. So here I'm going to have user 1. User 1 is going to want to be using the mobydick soft phone, and that's all they're going to use. They have it on their phone, they have it on their computer, so they'll use that. And then you can click here, save and next. And then I'm going to enter in user 2. What user 2 is going to be doing is user 2 is going to have the mobydick soft phone, but they're also going to have a SIP phone because they have one on their desk. They're going to want to use that. So I'm going to go ahead and give them the mobydick soft phone anyways, because they can then use the mobydick soft phone to manage their other phone as well. So that's useful. I'm going to click next. And now we need Steve. So Steve here, I'm going to go ahead and make his display name Stevie because that's his nickname. And Steve is not going to be using the mobydick soft phone. Steve is going to be using an analog phone that we have here. So I'm just going to click save now. So now we've got user 1, user 2, and Steve. We can then continue with this setup. So we have our users, we have our gateway configured. Now we need the devices and to assign these devices to these users. So if I go here, you can see that I currently have 2 mobydick soft clients available. I'm going to now go ahead and set up my SIP analog connection here. So beroFix gateway, beroNet gateway here, analog phone per SIP. Then I'm going to select Steve's phone. I'm going to name it Steve's phone. See if it lets me do that. And I'm going to assign it to Stevie so that Stevie gets that phone. It's his phone. And then click save. Very good. Now we can see here that Steve's phone set up. I'm going to go ahead and apply these settings. Okay, and it's provisioning that gateway there. Let's see if, go back into my devices list. Now you can see here that I have a SIP phone that's not connected to any account. I'm going to go ahead and go into that SIP phone here. I'm going to edit it. And then assign it to user 2, which is user, and save. Now you can also do advanced configuration here. So you can also configure your BLFs, you can configure everything that you need for those devices. You can create templates and then provision them to multiple different devices so that you don't have to do it each individually per device. Also very possible, I'm just going through the very basic configuration. Now I'm going to apply everything that I just did. You can see none of these devices are currently connected. So what I'll do is, while that's working on that, let's see if we can log into user 1 here. And what I did is I downloaded the mobydick soft phone client, and I'm going to go ahead and open that. And it already has user 1's credentials here, so it should log me in. And I'm logged in. You can see that Stevie's phone's up and running here with the analog phone. And users, oh, it's already up. And user's phone for the SIP phone is also there. That's user 2 right there. So what we've done here is we now have a fully functioning VoIP system. If I were to call out, it would go over my BRI connection on that gateway. Yeah, on the beroNet Telephony Appliance 2.0. So all you need really is the Telephony Appliance. You can install then your systems on that. If you don't have a DHCP server or firewall, you can install that on there as well and put everything into that one device. Again, really simple and easy to use, especially with the integration of the beroNet market. Simply download what you need and go with that. And then with the backup and restore functionality, you can then back up a complete virtual machine like I did with that mobydick installation versus having to reinstall it each and individual time. So if I wanted to, I can go back into the mobydick and change that IP address for a different customer location for their network instead of reinstalling it each time and going through that installation process. With the cloud management, I can do everything that you see here and that we've seen so far through that cloud. So downloading from the market, the machine, going in, creating different virtual machines, then accessing those virtual machines using a VNC client. The cloud will also tell me when this goes offline, if it goes offline, and give me notifications so that I can then fix that as the integrator. And then with the beroNet gateway, we didn't really go into the gateway GUI quite as much because with the mobydick system, you really don't have to. But just to get a quick look at what that looks like, we'll go ahead and log into that. And the default credentials for the beroNet gateway, again, are admin. You do want to change your default credentials. As you're well aware, it is a security thing. You can see that I actually don't have any BRI ports connected at the moment. But I do have that FXS line connected, and I am registered via the mobydick SIP account here. If I go into my dial plan, you can see all the wonderful rules, even Steve's phone rules that were created from the mobydick system. And then all these fun SIP accounts that were created from the mobydick system, as well as our ISDN grouping that were created in the mobydick system. If you go under hardware, again, you see that, see a graphical representation of what I have here in my card. You can set NT or TE based on what you're doing with that specific card. Whether you want to link a current legacy PBX system with your IP PBX system with mobydick or any of the other technical partners we have, you can do that as well. Then you also see the ports here. Change your ring voltage if you need to, and PCM bridging is also possible. So with that, you can look at your preferences, network preferences, all very basic management. You can go to remote management and configure your cloud installation or cloud system. So if I wanted to, I can then register to the cloud and save that. It would require me to activate the device again, which just configures these settings. And then allowing me to create the cloud registration here. It's being difficult. That's okay. And then you'd be able to see it in the cloud, which it's being difficult, so you can't see it. But that's okay. Anyways, at this point, I don't see any other questions, which is good. It means I'm very clear. I have a comment here, my cloud URL is wrong. Okay, we can try that. Oh yeah, that would makes sense. Here, look at that. I did it again. And activate. So as you can see, as I've said, I do have a local installation of the cloud, and that is possible for you to then purchase and then host yourselves. So then you have more control over that, and you don't have to use the servers here in in Germany. The servers in Germany do work really nicely as well, so that's also possible. And then it's going to tell me the device is already registered. There it is, already registered nicely. How quick is the initial mobydick installation is a question here. So you saw that I skipped the initial installation because I wanted to restore a device. It's actually pretty quick in comparative speaking to a lot of the other IP PBX systems out there. The mobydick installation is a rather quick process. I do have USB 3.0, so that does, with the appliance, so it does make that backup restore a little bit faster sometimes. But the initial mobydick installation is pretty quick. As the exact minutes, I actually don't know the exact minutes, but it's one of the faster IP PBX systems to install. Okay, now if we go under device list, not still. Okay. Anyway, I can play with this all day, but don't need to. That was my webinar for today, showing you how to install a complete VoIP system on the beroNet Telephony Appliance 2.0. With this webinar, we did use the mobydick PBX system. There are other technical partners. You can find those at our website at www.beronet.com, and then just go to the technical partners, and you can see a full list of those there. So under Partner Program, Technology Partners, and there's a list of all of our technology partners. So you can see here, the mobydick system is made by Pascom, and then we have a few others there as well. So thank you for joining us today. Again, my name is Jeff Stolniker. Very happy to be able to share this with you. If you have any additional questions, go ahead and send those to sales@beronet.com. Again, that's sales@beronet.com. And I look forward to answering those for you. Have a great remainder of your Wednesday.